So today, let's have a look at breaking cycles, family cycles, using your genealogy, or as some people might call it, the wonderful art of epigenetics, which we see over and over again in systemic work and constellations. What we understand from epigenetics is that traumatic events in the system, in the family system, create what we call markers on our genes and affects the way that those gene sequencings are expressed. Sounds like a big mouthful. Ask me, I've been practicing this thing blind because I know it, but it's a mouthful. So what that means is you have a trauma. The trauma creates an imprint on the system, and that affects the way that your genetic sequencing expresses or turns on its on-off switches. Now, during a constellations event, what happens is, and I watch this, you get to see people looking at, seeing, understanding, feeling, experiencing that whole genetic sequencing. You watch the anxiety, you watch the anger or the sadness. And as we start to work with it, and people have insight into what caused it, why it happened, what the effects were, what the events were, suddenly anger turns into compassion. Suddenly hate turns into curiosity. And in those moments, you will suddenly see somebody have an aha experience. There's a jolt, and you can see things beginning to unravel. You can actually watch as the shift happens. And in that aha moment, not only are you breaking the family cycle, right in that moment, you can watch the dissolving of that epigenetic marker. This is one of the reasons that systemic work in constellations is so profound, because in the very next instant, you can see a reprogramming or a rewiring, taking us, of course, into neuroscience, but the rewiring of those markers that have held the system in its grip for so long. So I want to give you a couple of really compelling ideas and thoughts and share a couple of examples with you of people I've watched break out of that sequencing. I've watched people come out of cultures where they tell me, and I do a lot of executive coaching, there is no way they can get X position or Y position because they come from this culture and this culture never has it happen. Only to find out that, oh my goodness, that was a story that great grandmother or great grandfather told us, and it's not true. I'm actually a leader. I can do this. My culture is not responsible. Wow, I'm in a new position. So I've seen that happen. I've seen people who come from really, really poor circumstances or really unfortunate or challenging circumstances, and they say, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not, only to find out that when they start to have a look at who said that first, and they find out the origins, and it drops away from them, they are smart enough, they are good enough, they can. So the work of epigenetics and systemic work in constellations is to undo the I can't and show you how you can.